If you're feeling antsy, you're feeling
Yeah.
froggy, you want to know what's up. All
Yeah.
right, but now, dude, enough of this like heavy-handed stuff, man. I want to hear the lowdown on a ghost story, which I hear is a very light tale.
It is a light. No, it isn't. It's pretty heavy. Yeah, this stars Casey Affleck and stars Rooney Mara.
Affleck's on fire lately, man.
Yeah, but this is like so he just won an Academy Award for Best Actor, and he follows it up with this movie where he basically is silent and is under a sheet the entire movie. I think this is probably the
he's
first
playing a
time
fart
it's
in the
ever
Dutch
happened.
oven?
Yeah,
So,
basically.
that is range, my friend.
So he is in this movie. David Lowery directed it, and he made this movie with the money he made from directing Pete's Dragon. Actually,
Oh,
he
no
directed
kidding.
that movie, and he directed the same
The
two
new one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And he directed the same two actors, Rooney Mara and Casey Affleck, in Ain't Them Body Saints in 2013. So he is very
I'm guessing,
familiar with these actors, and so they have really good chemistry in it. And the movie starts out in this nice little house in Texas that they moved into, this like new couple. And while they're there, this like kind of like this love story develops, and then all of a sudden Casey Affleck is killed off screen in a car accident.
wow, spoilers.
Yeah, a ghost story, right? And then we see her looking at his body at the morgue, and then a sheet goes over the body, and then she leaves the room. And then 2 minutes later, as you're sitting there watching the sheet sits up, and it's him as a ghost under this sheet, and then he starts walking back to the house, and then he goes back to the house that they live in, and he basically haunts this place, and she's there with him. And so he's watching her kind of a wreck, you know what I mean? Trying to
Was this a horror movie?
No, it's not really horror. I mean, it's a little spooky, but it's mostly like a tale of grief, overwhelming grief, loss, the enormity of time, because it's just literally him silent under the sheet. He doesn't speak and just watches her for a while. Then she leaves. And then another family moves in. He haunts that family. He can't leave this house. He basically, it's like kind of, in the movie Casper, where they're like you can't cross over till you have unfinished business.
Yeah.
Well, at the beginning, like
same thing with Beetlejuice.
yeah, so he's kind of like he has this unfinished business, even though he doesn't articulate it. He's just kind of waiting for something. And family after family and people like go through this house, and eventually the house is actually destroyed, and he's just sitting there, and it shows like thousands of years like into the future, and like this giant sky rises. Yeah, it's a little melancholy, you know what I mean? It's about your legacy, what you leave behind, and it's
behind
largely
some like depressed ass ghost. Well, the house isn't gone. It's gone. We're millions of years in the future now. The planet's kind of gone supernova. Yet I'm just still here floating in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, well, it's about like what you leave behind, what kind of not just like
I know
an
planets don't go
apparition.
supernova before we start getting like letters and stuff. Continue, sorry.
But
The power nerds, listen, man.
But it's kind of this really subtle, melancholy movie. You know what I mean? It's a very contemplative. There's a lot to think about, and definitely, if it's anything, maybe it's not your cup of tea, but if it's anything, it's a very original movie. I mean, I've never seen anything that looks like this. Nothing has ever been really done this way, where, like I said, Casey Affleck under this sheet gives a whole wide range of emotions. You can feel actually kind of what he might be going through, and just by his neck and head movements, it's pretty impressive just for being under a sheet, so to speak.
All
So
under the sheet.
yeah, so and he's just walking around, and
I feel like you might be snow jobbing me. They said the same stuff about Vin Diesel's group performance. Oh, it's just I know he only says those 3 words, but the way he says it, the subtleties.
No, that's blowing smoke for sure. This one, I mean, if it doesn't sound like your thing, it might not be. But if it sounds like you're interested in more slower pacing, kind of more contemplative stuff, kind of stuff you have to really think about without any real answers, and there's no conclusion that's really rock hard, then if that's your cup of tea, you're really going to enjoy this. If you want something that's going to blow up and has answers and like what is going on, like this is not going to be your film.
Well,
but
everyone loves things that blow up and have answers. But I mean,
Sure.
no, it sounds like this is one of those movies you go to see specifically so you can talk about afterwards, because it just leaves you with like, oh wait, I think this happened and this represented this and blank. But no, what really happened here from my point of view was blank, this and that. But no, you're crazy, you huff and glue. What really is going down is boom, and it was aliens, something like that.
Well, it's not really like there's a whole lot of conclusions. It's more just like this thoughtful thing about it makes you think about your own life. It makes you think about your own mortality. It makes you think about your own relationship. It makes you think about your own, legacy, what you're leaving behind, and like how you're living your life, and what does it all mean. It's more like that. It's like deeper questions, not like what's exactly does this mean? What does it mean when he did that? It's more
Somewhere between Werner Herzog and Wes Anderson.
I don't know if I can sign off on that, but yeah, it's very original. It's very very deep, but I definitely enjoyed it. It's completely unique, I think. So it's definitely worth your time checking it out just based on that.
Okay.
Like I said, it's not every day you see a guy who wins the Academy Award then goes and makes a movie where you don't see him the entire time. He obviously is in it. There's a few flashbacks, and there's this thing, and there's a really powerful scene where he's the ghost, of course, sitting there, and then he's watching his wife, and she comes home late one night, and she's drunk, and the guy drops her off, and they kind of have this little makeout with this new guy, and he just sees this. You can see him sitting there as the ghost watching this, and then like the house starts to shake a little. You know what I mean? That anger still exists after he's passed on, but.
See, that's where you get like the dichotomy of this is fiction.
Yeah.
If that was me, if I was like dead, this
you'd be throwing books, right? Yeah.
Seriously, yeah. No, you will be living in a haunted house tonight.
Right, that's what I was thinking too. But yeah, it's definitely worth checking out, man. I saw it at the Coolidge Corner Theater, of course, where I see most of my stuff. But it's definitely worth seeing, worth experiencing for sure.
All right, Casey Affleck playing ghosts haunting
the house. I don't think he has a name. I don't think anyone's really named in this either. Like I said, this movie's mostly a silent film. There's not a lot of speaking. There's like maybe one rant by like a drunk guy partying at the house like years later and stuff that you have to listen to. Okay. But it's mostly silent. But it's definitely
kind of killed the mood of the movie though. Everything else is really serious, and you get this one dude just like
it's one dude, but he's kind of waxing poetic about the themes of the movie, you know what I mean? So it makes sense, but
all right.
Yeah, man, I would give this my seal of approval. Definitely check it out.
All right, A Ghost Story starring Casey Affleck and Rooney Mara.
Yep.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Ooh. All right, I'm gonna kick it over to Just Johnny over there fiddling with knobs.